And joining me for further analysis of those market moves is Viv Govender from Rand Swiss Offshore. Thank you so much for your time, Viv. Let's actually start off with something that has really been one of the main catalysts for market sentiment, and that is Chinese stimulus. And it seems that once again, they have fallen short of expectations. Talk to me about why they're not meeting investor expectations at this point.
Yes, they are doing the kind of things that basically the market or what the political situation would dictate. For instance, they're like trying to help the previous stimulus. They try to help those local municipalities, local government, tourists. They are not really focusing on the kind of things that would really get that economy going, like allowing their tech sector to flourish, allowing more economic freedom. This is what actually caused the Chinese, growth miracle. It was the freedom from the constraints that they had before. Unfortunately, Xi Jinping is much more of an old school kind of leader. He doesn't quite believe in the free market. In fact, I remember seeing a story a while back where he wanted China to be a soft power, power like the US is in films and movies and stuff, but based on Marxist principles. Can you imagine making the Avengers based on Marxism? You know what I mean? So not exactly ear to the ground kind of situation. So I think that's the problem. The Chinese leadership doesn't have, I think, a full understanding of the weakness of the economy and a full understanding of what got them to the place they are right now in terms of growth and what it will take to get them back to that place. They are more focused on control as opposed to growth. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough to get them out of the situation they're in right now, especially as we head into 2025 when Donald Trump's going to put all those tariffs on them.
And Viv, the resource stocks have been hammered today, and I'm just wondering at this point if the Chinese stimulus talks and the downside surprises there are going to keep putting a lid on gains that we are seeing there in terms of possibly getting an upward cycle in our commodities.
Yeah, I mean, of course, people that don't know it, China accounts for a far larger share of the world's commodity demand than its GDP would indicate. But the reason being it's twofold. Firstly, they have a huge property sector, which is obviously in the doldrums right now. It accounted for like a third of the GDP. It accounted for basically something like 2/3 of all personal wealth in the country. And that obviously takes a lot of natural resources and commodities. And the second thing is that they are much more a manufacturing-based economy as opposed to much of the West, where Europe and the US are much more service-based economies. It takes a lot more, tools, materials to build a car than it is to run a hairdresser or a financial services company.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that basically have made China very important to the global economy in terms of commodity demand. And if they are stagnating, unfortunately, we're going to see, and they are facing these tariffs as well. To a certain extent, that could be a downturn for the commodity sector. But on the other hand, the one thing that could be a bit of a positive is that if the people are offshoring from China, taking things out of China, either to their own local economy or to friendlier economies, that's going to result in much more building, much more infrastructure development in those countries, which could, certainly compensate. It won't compensate for the Chinese infrastructure build, but it will compensate for things like manufacturing. And the next thing is that the Doge, thing by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in the US is aiming to reduce, regulations, which could actually boost the US infrastructure build and manufacturing by quite a bit.
Viv, also more headwinds, and we're seeing that in the UK. In October, we saw the second month of contraction in that economy. Of course, on the JSE, we do have counters that do have exposure to the UK. Is there just no light in sight at this point for the UK?
Yes, I mean, this has kind of been a bit of a downturn ever since the Labour government got into power. They've come up with, a lot of, measures that aim to, for instance, address some of the things that they are, think are a problem in the UK. It's a left-wing party, so they're looking at more taxes, they're looking at more, austerity, taxing businesses, taxing individuals more. And the hope had been that they could get, this taxes through without people spending less, without businesses investing and, less, etc. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. As soon as the Labour government came into power, we started seeing a bit of a downturn. People are spending less. Businesses are definitely, contracting as well. And that's the kind of situation we're seeing right now. And that's going to be quite difficult for them to handle, considering the fact that their budget situation is quite a bad situation at the moment. And they are looking to spend a lot more money going forward because that's what Labour does. It's a left-wing party.
Yeah. Well, Viv, I mean, there's competition. In the pharmaceutical space, we have seen Novo Nordisk's shares dipping today on news of competition from Eli Lilly. How are you viewing that competitive landscape in the pharmaceutical companies and really just their fight for leadership?
Yeah, for those that don't know, there's been a new development in pharmaceuticals over the last few years called these GLP-1 antagonists. They basically, strange enough, they come from a lizard called the Gila monster. And this poison in the lizard basically makes you eat less and lose weight and fight diabetes. And that's why you're seeing all these celebrities kind of get a lot thinner,
Yeah.
back in the old some of them up and about. But you see a lot of celebrities that used to be quite plus size and now they're looking much more svelte. And the reason being is that they're taking these drugs, including, I think we can mention Oprah Winfrey. That's quite famous
Yeah.
because she was a spokesman for, towards Weight
Yes,
Watchers.
yes.
But the thing is that these drugs are important in two ways. Not just do you lose weight, but you also fight a lot of metabolic diseases. People are overweight in the world at the moment. So if you lose weight, you fight diabetes, you fight heart disease, and these are really, health concerns that are really important. And so whoever's leading these particular drugs are going to be not just, in demand for weight loss. They're going to be in demand by global, health services, by, insurance companies, etc. Because if you can get somebody that's like, a few hundred pounds overweight, a few 100 kgs overweight, down to like a normal, weight, that person would be much less of a cost to your company. And so this is a multi, $100 billion kind of invention. And Wegovy, which is from basically was Novartis, Novo Nordisk, sorry, not Novartis,
Yeah.
Novo Nordisk. That is basically the current champ, but it seems that something called Monjaro,
Yes.
I can't think of the pronunciation wrong, by Eli Lilly, has really taken a lead and is shown to be maybe more effective in some cases. But apparently in like the UK, the private market, it's not the government market, the private market, it has gotten like a 70% share. That means that individuals out there are seeing this as a more effective weight loss option and, maybe anti-diabetes option, but this is more like a weight loss thing. Then, so Wegovy is, and that's going to be very important.
Yeah.
Novo Nordisk is had a huge run-up because of Wegovy and
Yeah.
Ozempic as well, drugs.
Yeah, very fascinating what's happening there. Viv, let's quickly get to your stock pick for today.
My stock pick for today is actually Eli Lilly,
Okay.
and I think I'm just keeping that in there. Is that not only do they have this Monjaro, thing that I think is going to be as time goes by more and more important, and in fact, it's actually going to affect things that people don't realize, like ice cream sales.
Okay.
Alcohol sales are going to be affected by this because you drink less and you eat less ice cream when you take these drugs. Okay,
Yeah.
and you're not joking. It's an
Yeah.
interesting factor. But I think also their partnership with Google and Isomorphic Labs at Google is this thing that Google created using its AI systems to create new drugs. And Novo Nordisk and Novartis and Eli Lilly are the two companies that actually had a partnership created with Isomorphic Labs. So not only is it about these GLP-1 drugs, but also about their partnership with Google. And that's why I'm picking it as my pick for the day.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that those interesting insights, Viv. That was Viv Govender from Rand Swiss Offshore with your markets wrap.